Yes, and welcome to today's broadcast of In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Deo. Yet again, we're going to bring it. It's a Tuesday. I know a lot of people got started in this week. Maybe they were dreading Monday. Maybe the weather got them down. Maybe they're not in the position they want to be in. But it's time to create a shift. Spoke about mindset yesterday. We talked about the three biggest places we know that where if you have a mindset of scarcity, you will not grow. And if you can transform or transfer that into a mindset of abundance and feel that shift in those three areas, you're destined for glory. You will have everything that has been reserved for you since the day you were conceived. And those three areas we talked about yesterday were money, time, and resources, and how that can literally transform your life. Look at that, Paxton showing up to the party early. Love to see you here, brother. Love to get you on here live in the tank soon. I know you got some goodies for us all. But on a Transformation Tuesday, we were blessed with a lot of information this morning, a lot of places in our lives and in the lives of others that have already started to shift. And people feel it. They feel that momentum building. They know that it's possible. They know that they know that they know, and they're ready to get out of their own way. And that's key. They've not only been given permission, they've not only been shown a way, they've not only gotten their belief to a level where they're ready to go, but now it's time to get out of your own way. Now it's time to invite in the gift of transformation. Invite in everything that comes with it, because there will be some pain involved. Remember, if there is an enormous amount of pain involved with what you're going through, and you don't have a team of people that are moving through it with you and getting you through places where you get stuck, well then reach out to somebody, reach out to a professional, reach out to someone and allow them to mentor you, somebody that's been through what you're going through. That's key to the process. And a lot of times that may cost money, that may cost time, that may allow you to look at and leverage and maximize resources. But again, if your mindset is transformed and you create a shift into a mindset of abundance in those areas, well then you will achieve everything you've ever wanted. And you can't put a price on that. But so many people do. They got their values all shook up. And so one of the messages that I received today, among the many, and people that I was able to work with today and listen to and work under was Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he created a profound shift in my understanding of human development, even today. And it was more of a reminder, but something that it wasn't really there. It wasn't something I could go grasp and then learn from and then pass on. What he said was that the people that, this is what he said. He said, stop wasting your weapons on what people say or do or how they judge you, what they think. Stop wasting your weapons there. It'll never be what someone says, does, or thinks about you that ends up beating you down. It'll always come down to what you say about you. That's going to determine whether or not you come out of this thing on top. So that was profound. That was huge. That's a message that I'm definitely going to share more and more today as people are presented in front of me, and I'm able to then be in service or be in service to others so that I can show them what's possible as I transform, as I go through this Transformation Tuesday. I'm just excited for the growth that I'm experiencing as I am for the growth of the people that we're working with. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring Aaron on here, and because I know he's just Tuesday, it was just a bunch of mic dropping all over the place. I threw my hands up at one point. I was like, we got to go. We got this. There's so many lives. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Repping. What you repping? There we go. Rep the team, son. So that's what I was talking about earlier, Aaron. I said, if you're going through something and you're ready to transform and you've gotten out of your own way and all your chips are aligned, but there's a level of pain that you're experiencing that is greater than what you can physically, mentally, and spiritually tolerate, then you need a team. You need a tribe. You need a bunch of people that can grab a stone on your walk up that mountain until you've either gotten rid of them and can throw them down the hill, you're ready to let them go, or you're strong enough to carry those stones one by one. And this isn't meant to be done alone. The journey is meant to be done with a tribe. The transformation is yours, and it's yours to own. And that is the main difference you notice in people is their pace of transformation. We're all transforming. Some people tend to deteriorate in the process and get broken down, and some people grow and elevate and evolve. And that's something that Aaron loves to say. He loves to take that quote about the grinding stone, and everyone wants to glorify the grind, and it's really not the grind. That there's no glory in the grind. Why put yourself through unnecessary pain just to receive significance from your network or your social media followers? There's no glory in the grind. I don't care who you are and how you understand it or what you're getting done. Eventually, that's going to break you down. But what Aaron lets us all realize is he talks about, look, life is a grinding stone, and you are a sword, and you can either decide whether you're going to dull it or shift it that little bit and allow it to sharpen. And that's the process of growth that we're talking about. And so, Aaron, the link I sent you, and the link I'll put in the chat here, I'm not sure if I actually finished it because I'm moving a million miles a second here this morning because it is fast. It's furious. The link that I'll put in the chat here, TD Jakes dropped some bombs. He drops the mic, the whole process. It was him, Les Brown, and Joel Osteen. You get those three in a room. You get those three speaking on the same message. It's powerful. And Joel said this, on this Transformation Tuesday, take this right now. Take this moment to reflect on this. He said that the greatest weapon known to man is a soul on fire.
Wow. It is. I mean, if you think about it, at that moment, you're allowing yourself to step into that greatness, right? You're allowing whatever it is inside of you to become real. And I was having a conversation with a young man this morning about the what and the how, right? And how the what and the how doesn't matter as much as the who. And as you start to think about the things that you want to transform in your life, whether it be your body or your bank account, right? Your relationships or how you handle your emotions, whatever it is, right? And how you do it is not as important as who you are while you're doing it. And you have to realize that your identity is something that we must work on constantly, because I can give you the perfect recipe. You can go online and find exactly how to bake a cake. But if you don't believe that when that cake starts to become challenging, you know, or the dough is not rising on your pizza, or whatever it is that you're creating, you're going to come across some thoughts and some patterns that unconsciously are trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you protected from the fear that we self-inflict, right? And so at that moment, if you're not willing to overcome that old identity and allowing yourself to say, okay, you know, who is this? Who is this that's speaking to me? And is this individual going to get to the next level? Because if you ask that question, when you start to feel that feeling that holds you back, you need to identify it, you need to rectify it, and you need to say, okay, am I allowing myself to continue to live at that old self, or am I going to go ahead and stretch beyond that old self and bring out a new self so that I can transform and that I can allow some new things to come in to my life that will allow me to see that, yes, I am deserving of everything, okay, and that I'm deserving of what it is that I desire, because you know what? It's just that piece of desire that tells you that it's yours already. So now it's like, okay, I just have to become that person that's going to be deserving of that, whatever that is. And that's the biggest thing is how we control that self-talk, how we control that identity factor, whether it be the way that we control our emotions, whether we control our posture, right? And that self-talk that we talk, are we talking from a superior posture where we're demanding things of ourselves and we're out there and we're a warrior, a no-limit soldier? Or are we coming from an equal posture where everything can be leveled, right? And you can figure out exactly what to justify so that it won't take you further, but it won't lessen you, right? And so as you start to, and in an inferior, obviously we don't want to be there, because then now we just put fear in front of everything and say, I can't do it because I don't have the strength, or I'm not the person that can get this done. And we see it all the time in our profession, Keith. I mean, the 7 steps to becoming a professional will always be the same in our profession. There's no other variable. It's 7 steps. The biggest one is yourself, and the self-talk that you tell yourself as you're out there dividing, right? You're dividing, sorting, and sifting all these emotions and figuring out, is it serving me? Isn't this serving me? Is it serving me? Isn't it serving me? And during a transformation period, it's all the same, right? Those skills and all that development is all the same. The difference maker is going to be how are you handling that old identity, and are you choosing to let that go to become more, and what is it going to take for you to do that? That right there is the biggest fight I believe everybody is faced with.
Yeah, Aaron, and you're right, and that's why Bishop T.D. Jakes always tells people to wash your face, wash your face. Like you've eaten enough dirt, right? Stop eating dirt. Like when are you going to be sick of having your face down in the dirt? Wash your face. It's right, and it's also not to be done alone. That's why a lot of people, whether it's a pride thing or it's a belief thing, or whether that mask, they got so many, they put so many masks on for so many people for so long, they don't even know who they are anymore. So then to introduce themselves to somebody new, they can't, because they don't know who to introduce. They don't know who they are in the process. And the key is to get back to gratitude, and that will get rid of the fear, so that then you will find out who you truly are, because not everybody is grateful for the same things. Not everybody sees the world through the same eyes. Mm-hmm. For one person that I know that Aaron, you're familiar with, and he's a holistic healer. He spoke today of a issue that people have called tinnitus and ringing in the ear. And if you're connected with him, you can see my response on Facebook. And this was not a response that I've ever given anyone before, but it came to me. And that's the beauty of being a translator. Is he mentioned this issue called tinnitus, and how a lot of people have ringing in their ears, but they can't make it stop, and nobody has been able to really give them a way to make it stop. And he has constant ringing in his ears, and it's really loud at times. He said he goes through EFT, and he goes through tapping, and he goes into meditation, and that tends to control it or manage it. And so what I was then able to express and translate for him is, because I know him and I know about human potential, I understand that humans are connected in so many ways. I understand what he's capable of. I allowed him in that short message. Now, where it goes is not up to me. It was a gift. I allowed him in a short message to realize that because of his deep devotion and passion to nature and wellness and being holistic, being whole, being one, and how much he cares for others in the process, and how much self-care he takes on himself. I said, look, what I believe the ringing to be is the voice of nature. And that voice of nature, the only reason it sounds like ringing versus words, and you're not able to translate it, is because there's so much other noise going on that you haven't slowed down your life enough to either learn the language, which I know he knows, because I know he grounds himself. That's how I learned how to be grounded with nature, taking your shoes off, looking for grass, looking for sand, looking for water. Those are the things that will help you ground and become one again with Mother Earth. And there's so much, this goes so deep. But at that moment, I was able to translate a feeling into words for him to help allow him to understand that the very ringing you're hearing in the transformation process, especially on a Tuesday, may be the words of nature screaming out to you, because you are the voice. You have been the voice in the past, and maybe you've lost touch with it, in order to preserve and allow evolution to take its process, but that you can no longer understand the language. Just like a baby crying, there's no words there, but we learn through time and through skills that are passed down, and through our perception of what's going on, what to do. It's also like a dog barking. I've watched Dr. Dolittle with my daughter for the first time, and she wanted to watch it again. And then my nephew said, "Man, I wish I could talk to animals." And I said, "You can. What's not familiar is the language, our language, which is only ours, and in other communities." And I shared with them also that I said, "Look, it's like a baby crying. The ringing in your ears, the language of nature is similar to a baby crying, a dog barking, the wind blowing." There are people that study the earth and study Mother Nature and understand. They believe in different gods than we do, but it's still faith. It's belief in the unknown. And what they're able to do is they're able to translate those things. They can look at a root of a tree and understand the healing property that it has. They can tell by the temperature of the water what's going on with the weather and the patterns. So there is a language being spoken here. It's a matter of where you find gratitude and where you choose to live out of fear, in order to allow that language in and allow it to literally transform you in a blink of an eye. And when it happens, if you're open, it will blow your mind. And the best part is, it comes in floods. and you let it happen, and there's those mindsets come up again, and it's whether it's money, time, or resources, a soul on fire will allow that. That's like gasoline. It's like jet fuel, and people will come around for miles and miles to watch you burn.
Yeah. And it's something that we always have to be acknowledging of, because these affirmations, right, of I am, okay, as you get up in the morning and you go out there, you know, if you say that, you know, I am an employee and I'm going to be told what to do all day until I get home, and then I'm going to be told by my kids how to parent, and then I'm going to go and be told by my spouse how I should act and how I should respond, and I go to bed and I do it over and over and over again. What you've done is now you've found this comfort zone of I am a follower. Okay. Now, when you wake up and you say, I am a leader, I am a pattern shifter, I am a life changer, I am a transformation specialist, I am someone who is ready to pattern interrupt, I'm ready to step into a situation. Now, again, those affirmations are so powerful and they take a level of energy. Okay. And trust me, you can only do that so much before you have to refill, right? And so a lot of people, a lot of people, including myself, at times pull ourselves so thin through that I am statement because it feels good at the moment, but when you get into the trenches, you don't have the strength, you don't have the you don't have the endurance, you don't have the flexibility, you don't have the balance, you don't have all these attributes that are required to be able to take that I am statement and make it truth, make it real, right? And go out there and shift it. Because you know what? I think about those who are incarcerated, right? These people that have made choices and now they're in a cell their whole life, and these people that are in there for life, right? These souls that are locked behind these bars for life, their whole life is now controlled. And then I think of how free we are, right? And then the enslavement of what we do in our mind is this middle piece, right? As you start to think about that, you say, okay, well, where am I holding back? And it starts by saying, okay, well, what am I using for fuel, right? Is it gratitude? Is it wisdom? Is it, you know, my team that's firing me up and continuing to believe in me even though I don't believe in myself, you know? Or is it self-control where, you know, you have this magic inside of you that you've realized and tapped into and says, you know what, I can be and become whatever I want right now, and I can walk out these doors and I can change lives like that because I believe I can, and it doesn't matter what other people think of me because that doesn't concern me as much as I know I am important, right? So, you know, so as you start to do that, this is where the work starts to begin. And I think a lot of people get scared of that because they look at the work that it's going to take to be accountable when you say that I am this, right? And people are like, you know, I don't know if I want to go through that. And so you have to do this juggling act to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to weigh this versus this. And, you know, the coach, the head coach of our football team said something so profound yesterday, and it hit me because when he said it, he was saying it to these kids because the kids are still in this developmental phase that they haven't really understood how important discipline is, and they haven't found structure and focus, and, you know, sometimes they on and sometimes they off. He said, you know, there was a coach that said, you must hate losing, right, more than you love winning.
Yes.
You know, you have to be willing to take a look at where you are right now and dislike it so much that you are not willing to tolerate anymore, and that you're going to make a change versus saying, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be significant, because those things you can easily put on a shelf, look at it like a trophy and say, yeah, that is nice. But the reality of it is that I'm willing to tolerate what I have right now. You have to get to the point where you're not willing to tolerate what you have right now to the point where you're not willing to do it anymore, like any of the actions. And that's when the work begins. And it starts by fueling yourself up, knowing that you are it. You have the freedom. You have the freedom in the world. And regardless of the choices that the people made that are incarcerated, they are incarcerated for life. Behind bars, no choices. They are told when to eat, told when to go to the bathroom, told when they can do this, told when they can, and for the rest of their life. And you have a choice to make. You have a choice. Do you want to live that life, or do you want to live the life that you are giving? Right? And outside in this free world right now, we can do anything and have anything and become anything we possibly want. It's who is willing to be more about not losing than winning. And that hit me so hard, Keith, because, when we look at that and we see professional athletes, we see people that win, those individuals were willing to put the work in because they hate losing more than they love winning. And that right there is the difference maker. And it takes work, it takes persistence, it takes consistency. And both of us are still working on it. I mean, I tell you every day, it's a fight. It's a fight to be able to manage those emotions and those thoughts that come through that always know exactly what to say to keep you where you are.
Your buttons.
No, it's crazy, bro. It's like they know. They know right now that, you know what, that voice in their head has exactly the keys to the city. And it's time to revoke those keys and say, you know what? You are no longer the holder of these keys. I'm changing the locks, damn it. I'm changing the locks.
I love it. Yes, let's put that in the comments. Change the locks. Right. So as you see transfer opportunities to let your environment and make affirmations, whether it's social media or it's letting somebody know over the phone, whatever it is, if you post anything about your transformation today, let's make sure that obviously we use the shift happens, like hashtag shift happens, but let's also hashtag change the locks. So if it's something that you're looking forward to, it's something that you're noticing, you're really in touch with it, and you're one with it, and you feel it coming, you know it's something that's going to happen, you know that that's a shift happens. And then as well, if you're no longer willing to tolerate something anymore, it's over. And you're no longer allowing somebody to get into your house, into your vehicle, into your spirit, hashtag change the locks. And that's so key. It's washing your face. It's letting go of who you once were to become who you were destined, who you know you're destined to become. That's the key. And Aaron, I ask a lot of people this. I said, look, man, what would you have to believe for that very thing that you want so badly to happen? Because I've seen this happen a lot to people. They want it. They tell you it's a must, but they don't believe they don't believe like the person they're looking to become. They believe like the old version of themselves because they haven't changed the locks yet. And so when you look at that, that's huge. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you were able to bring that out because we've never said that before. And that's huge. That's big time. That's another t-shirt. I love t-shirt moments or bumper sticker moments, whatever you want to say. But we're gonna have so many t-shirts on there about hashtagging that we are really gonna make people think or allow them to think. And so another area, Aaron, that I want to speak on as regarding transformation is think about this. Think about all the fights that you have fought, all the things that you have done to this day, knowing what you know, to do what you're doing, and becoming who you're becoming. All of that considered, think about it when you're out there and you're helping people, and they don't quite understand or don't quite know that even though you've touched that oven and that sucker is burning hot, you've touched it before, so you knew that when somebody was around an oven and you were with them, you would say, "Hey, hot oven,
don't touch that."
Not touching that. And they still touch it, or they have to know, or you give them the greatest recipe in the world, but they still mess it up. They have to mess it up, and it's this addiction to having, and we've been there because we find areas where we do this, but we have such an awareness. A conscious awareness of the thoughts that are going through our mind, and we know what to let go and we know what to push down into our heart and own. That because we've done this work, we didn't show up here. The person at the top of the mountain didn't just land there; they climbed the mountain too. And I think a lot of people forget that. And so what happens is, it's through that significance, battle of significance, and the battle of ego to either keep themselves safe or to look the greatest, even though they're not, and their inability to maybe ask or own it when help is needed, that we're seeing people trip up. And we struggle with this because we do what we do and we've done what we've done to be who we are today, so that the next person behind us doesn't have to also chop down the weeds, chop down the trees. We're making a double wide path through this jungle, busting our asses with machetes in both hands, so that we can create ease
along your journey so that when we are through, when our number is called and we are gone, you are not exhausted and you can continue to clear the path that we've started. That's
There
what's
you go.
going on here. But if you
Yeah.
lose vision and you can't see that, and we don't allow you permission to then grow into that, understand it can be confusing. And we scratch our heads a lot. And we talked about it last night. And it's a delicate balance of creating space for those that feel they must have their own machete and they must make their own path, even though the path is right next to you. And at times they're way back, weeks back. And they once were right next to you, but they went and got a machete because they needed that ego. They had to feed the ego, feed the fire, take care of their significance, because they then gave the keys out to too many people, to too many versions of themselves. They had keys to their lock. And so what Aaron and I are doing here is, if you're a car enthusiast, maybe it's a Bugatti, maybe it's a Ferrari, maybe it's that nice luxury vehicle you have, and what that's called life. And when Aaron was talking about that before, I'm thinking, you know what? If we're in your life, we've probably flipped you a set of keys or two to a brand new vehicle and said, hey, you think you can drive this thing right now? This thing called life, this amazing path that we're on, you think you can take it? And what happens is we're not finding the honesty in the other person enough to say, you know what, man, that car scares the shit out of me. I can't drive that thing. I'll crash it. I'll drop it off a cliff. But you know what? Thanks. I'm going to keep these keys. I look forward to driving that one day. What do I need to do to get ready, to be prepared, to have the skills, to maximize my money, my time, my resources? How can I drive this? I may not be ready right now. And what happens is, Aaron, we come across sometimes with such a presence that people think that we won't understand them. We won't be relatable to them when it comes to learning how to drive again, learning how to drive a stick. And that's on us. And that's for us to grow into more relatable, shareable, transformable people, so that you will have the confidence and trust that you can ask us for help, knowing that we once were there, but maybe we haven't shared that with you. And if you wonder, open your mouth and ask, because that's the easiest way to a destination. Ask for directions. Stop being a guy.
And Keith, you mentioned a few things that has really hit me. We talk about awareness all the time, and I think that's where most people forget that simple thing is just being aware. You may not always know how, and you may not always know what, right? But if you can recognize something, right? If you can recognize, someone rolling through a stop sign, right? And you look at them, and you can make all these assumptions that either they just are in a rush and they don't, or they don't care about the law, or they are rushing to an emergency and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to make sure that I don't get hit and I need to get where I need to get. There's all kinds of assumptions that go on. And I like to use this story of perception, right? Because when we look at things in a certain light, it starts to kind of click. And all of a sudden, once you have that click, remember it, recognize it, write it down, notice when it shows up again. And so imagine, if you will, you're sitting at a stoplight, right? You're sitting at a stoplight, and all of a sudden, this red Ferrari whips by you, right? Rips by you, goes right through the light, right? And the first thing in your mind is like, oh my gosh, this dude almost took my mirror off. What a jerk. What a jerk. I can't believe he just did that, man. He could risk all these people's lives. I can't believe he did that, right? And so the light turns green and you continue on your journey. About 1.5 miles up, you get a phone call, okay? You get a phone call, and it's actually your spouse telling you that you must get down to the hospital because your son has been in an accident. So now you're freaking out, right? So now you get to the hospital, and you're sitting in the waiting room, and you're waiting to get the news of what happened, right? And you recognize something in the parking lot, that red Ferrari. And you're like, that's interesting. I never see 2 Ferraris in the same day. Man.
Well, unless you live in Miami.
Right? And so you're sitting there, and all of a sudden, this guy walks up to you alongside with your spouse and the doctor. And the doctor looks at you, shakes your hand, and says, I want to tell you that your son is going to be okay. And if it wasn't for this guy right here who rushed your son to the hospital, he wouldn't have made it. Now, what's your perception of the guy in the red Ferrari?
Wow.
Right? You just shifted your mindset. So in life, when things show up and you automatically associate it with some emotion and you give it meaning, and that meaning is not serving you, but it gives you this sort of energy and this significance to feel whatever anger or right, whatever it is, right? It's so important to reflect on this story, because it could be that moment that shift needed to happen for you to realize that you're so stuck in autopilot that you're missing the vital pieces of life, that you only get one life to live, right? And you're given this gift. And so many times in life, you're just giving away the opportunity for you to change because your perception is, I don't deserve it, right? My life has never really amounted to nothing. I don't have any luck. My family has never made it anywhere, so therefore I won't make it anywhere. Or you know what? The last 10 times I tried that thing, it didn't work, right? And then alongside comes someone with an opportunity and you automatically shut the door in their face because you think that because the emotion you just felt from excitement was always followed by disappointment, you decided to keep this way the same. So this is the message, guys, is that we get on here on The Tank to share with you just a different perspective of what it could mean if you decided to ask the question, what else could this mean? What could my life mean if I decided to just shift a few thought patterns or not so, don't think so much personal about what's going on in my life and say, you know what, what's the bigger picture? Why am I here? Right? And who am I while I'm showing up every single day? Because every day passes, there's nothing you can do about that. Right? But you can decide what you took from that day and make a different perspective, a different vision, so that you can see a little clearer of what's being done for you already versus what you think you must struggle through and stress through. Because a lot of times the freedom is right before your face and you're making it difficult for yourself to enjoy it because of all this extra stuff and this perception of what it's not versus what it could be. And it's huge, you know? So just allow yourself to shift that thought pattern and allow yourself to just allow that freedom and all of the gifts to come to you, and just think of that guy in that red Ferrari, right? If he didn't take an initiative to make sure that child got to the hospital by making his life a risk, you may have not got that news, right? You would have got something else. And so all of a sudden you start to shift like, wow, where is that happening in my life? Where am I, flicking people off and saying, what a jerk, what did this, what did that, what did this, what did that? And it might even be your boss at work that held you accountable for something. You didn't think it was that serious, but it was a lesson to be taught there. And you got pissed off, you got mad, you got laid off for whatever reason, right? There was something you were supposed to take away from that moment, but yet you got caught up in the emotion, right? You weren't flexible enough, your balance was off, you fell flat on your face, and you made somebody else to blame. Right? So take more accountability. It's time for us to wake up and realize that, you know what, if we want transformation, it's going to start by realizing that things are in our lives for a reason, and what else could it mean?
Woo! I like that, Aaron. He went from rapping as a kid with an R to rapping with a W, putting little gifts under the Christmas tree. That's his transformation.
Yeah, man.
It's a different kind of freestyle, but I love it, man. I love it. I'm addicted. This is amazing. Transformation Tuesday. So for all the people that showed up today, the loves, the likes, the comments, keep them coming. That's the heartbeat of the broadcast. And for the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to see this on replay, we appreciate you just as much. Leave the likes, the loves, the comments, and we will see you same time, same place tomorrow on Work Wednesday, Wealthy Wednesday, whatever you got it Wednesday. What else could this mean Wednesday? On In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Dale. Peace.